welcome to the Avid Knits podcast. My name is Sarah, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry both as Avid Knits. Links to everything I talk about today and the things that I show you and how to get a hold of me will be in the description box below. So, hi. It's a relatively regular amount of time in between podcasts. I'm super proud of myself because I thought for sure that as soon as I sat here and told you guys that I wanted to be back soon, that it would be another 4 months. I thought for sure it would be the middle of summer before we talked again. So, it's not, and I'm really excited about that. If you're new around here, hi, thanks for stopping in. I hope that you enjoy it and that you'll stick around. And if you are an old friend, then welcome back. I'm extremely happy to see you. It is a weather update day. It is mid-50s roughly and sunny here in Portland, Oregon. I live here with my husband and my son. We moved from Houston in February. So if you have seen me before or it's been a little while and you missed that part, that's why there are new digs. So hi, how is everybody? I hope that your last couple of weeks has been really good and that you're excited to get into March. I hope that you have been keeping your head above water when it comes to the news and everything that's going on this crazy, crazy planet. So, links will also be found below to donate to Ukraine or Ukrainian artists that I have found who are in need. If anybody has not seen it, I will also put a link. Maybe it's not a link. Has everybody seen this thing about Airbnb? Where you get in the news and you find the latest city hit or a city that's been hit, and you search for Airbnbs in that area, and then you book a stay with a family in that area. And obviously you're not going to make it. Just put a note in there that says that you're not going to, and then the money is directly put into their funds. And Airbnb is waiving all fees and finance charges for that right now. So that is a very easy way and a very nice way to be able to get money into the hands of people who need it. Of course, people suck and there are scammers. Please be mindful of the ones that you choose. I hate to dissuade you to go from going with anybody, but several people on Airbnb become super hosts after they have hosted enough people and gotten a high enough amount of reviews. And I feel like those might be safer than maybe somebody who doesn't have that designation. But you can also, I believe, see how long you've been a member of Airbnb or how long your property has been listed as a rental. So maybe check into those things before you make your choice. But there's some really heartwarming stories out there of people who have homeowners who have contacted back and have shared some of their experiences, and some of them are really horrific. So that would be a great way to help. There's also obviously Ukrainian artists on Etsy. And there are your traditional organizations such as Save the Children, and I will put links to all of this below so that you can choose the one that feels comfortable for you to donate to if you choose to do so, or if you can. I am wearing my Talvinen today. This is a pattern by Boyland Knitworks. This is Caitlin Hunter. It is knit out of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in their Sequoia Heather and Down Heather colorways. It's a fingering weight sweater, and it is supposed to be, mine is wildly modified. It's not wildly modified. I just stopped doing it after a certain point. So in Caitlin's version, there is color work on the cuffs. The sleeves are balloon sleeves. It is kind of an A-line tunic type thing. I didn't do any of those things. I really just did the top chart and then I stopped. I didn't add any shaping. I didn't anything. And yeah, it's super cozy and I really like it. If you are able to access Ravelry, all of my notes are on the pattern page. If you are not able to access Ravelry, you can DM me and I will share with you what I did if you are so interested. So yeah, let's see what's happened. We've gotten the house set up. We've just been doodling, I guess. Our sale on the house, I think I talked to you when the house sale closed. My husband purchased a mountain bike, a new mountain bike, because his is feeling his age. And yeah, so we drove up to Seattle to do that. That is about 2.5 hours for us, which was really nice. Seattle is the city that we constantly vacation in whenever we were in Houston. We always come up to Seattle. We've come up every year, except for the pandemic years. If you can hear scratching and banging and fussing, I have a tortoise and he's on a mission to dig through the earth while I'm recording. So if you can hear him, that's all it is. I'm really sorry. He's antsy today, apparently. It could be because I forgot to turn his lights on and take his cover off. We put a cover around the tank just at night so that it stays warmer. I don't know. My husband thinks it helps him sleep better. Don't ask, okay? But I forgot to take his blanket off and turn his light on until like an hour ago. For reference, it's like 1 PM here. So, yeah, anyway. So that's what that noise is. We drove to Seattle and we were at the bike shop longer than we anticipated. So we actually had to go north of Seattle to pick up the bike. And then we were going to come back down and we were going to do the market at Pike's Place. And we just kind of ran out of time. We would have had like a half hour maybe to peruse the market. And honestly, by the time that you find parking and you get in there, the market is huge. And we just kind of wanted to enjoy ourselves, maybe have a dinner there or something. But I have a rule against walking into a restaurant that closes within the next 30 minutes unless it's like fast food or something. Because they generally are trying to get the kitchen cleaned up and they're kind of trying to shut down for the day. And it was a Saturday, so it's already been a busy market day for them anyway. And we just chose not to rush it. So we skipped the market and instead we went to Tolt Yarn and Wool in Carnation, Washington, which is one of my all-time favorite yarn stores. If you've been around for a long time, then you will have seen I've purchased from them several times. And I was really looking to stop in because Andrea Mowry of Andrea Renee Knits is doing her March to May Cal. So it's the DRK March to May Cal. And you can participate on Ravelry and you can participate on Instagram. She has a podcast. It's called I'll Knit If I Want To. If you swing over there, she has a whole little video of it. I will try to remember to link it below. But I have only knit one of her patterns. And I have been gifted one of her patterns. Julie of Sweet Sparrow Yarns knit her So Faded, and it didn't fit her quite the way she wanted, and she asked me if I wanted it, and I said yes, hello. So she sent it to me, and I love it. It's a really, really great simple raglan. And I have knit my throw over, which is one of my most worn sweaters. I wore that last week. And there are a couple more in my queue that I've been like, oh, I kind of want to, but then I've just never really done it. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? I don't have any sample knitting going on right now. Okay. When I made this decision, I didn't have any sample knitting going on. We'll get to that in a minute. So I was like, you know, I can't decide between the pink Fizz, which is a drop sleeve, kind of oversized, just really cozy. The Junction, which is brioche rose right here, and then like a flea pattern in the bottom, and then the pink velvet, which is not a cozy sweater, but would be more of like a nice sweater with jeans and go places in it type sweater. And I've been kind of on the hunt for another something like that. So I chose to start with the pink velvet. And I chose to start with the pink velvet because my friend Kirsten from Knitting a Love Song offered to knit along with me at some point in the future. I think that when we were talking about it near Christmas, neither one of us was anywhere near ready. And I swatched just to see if it would work. Or I cast on the neckline to see if I could get gauge. Because my gauge, I'm a very loose knitter. And I feel like I'm really loose, but you know what I got to tell you? I think me and Andrea Mowry might have like pretty similar gauge because I'm on the right needles and I just wanted to see if I could do it and if it would look right in the yarn that I had. So I cast on a neckline and I posted it on Instagram. It was one of those late night pictures and I didn't say anything about it. I wasn't really planning on going all that much farther with it. And Kirsten hit me and was like, is that your pink velvet? I'm skeiving up yarn. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're knitting pink velvet. So I started the pink velvet, and this is it. So I'm knitting the third size, which is for a third size for the 40-inch bust, okay, because I don't want a lot of positive ease. But I didn't really want negative ease either. I just want it to be a really easy sweater to wear. So I started it, and this is my yoke. As you can see, it's not on needles, and there's a reason for that. So first off, this is my main color, and this is called Willow Creek. It is by Farmer's Daughter Fibres, and it is in her Moon Sisters base, which is a gold stellina fingering. I paired it with Willow Creek on Suri Alpaca, which is also Farmer's Daughter, obviously, same color name. The way that Andrea Mowry picked her colors for hers was that they were the same colorway on two different bases. She used a single and a Suri, and it took the dye very differently. I bought this first and I didn't really have plans for it. And then I went to go look for a Suri, and through the pictures, it looked like this one was going to be quite a bit lighter than what it is. When you photograph it, it doesn't photograph like this, and I don't even know if it's showing up on camera. If this looks like super much lighter than this, it's really not. And when you put them together in color work, all you can see is fuzz. You can't see any kind of motif, so I had to scrap that. Anybody who's been around for a while, I am not the biggest fuzz fan. I will tell you that I prefer Suri over mohair because it doesn't lint as much, and that is like literally it. I really don't like fuzzy. So not only here I am knitting a pink velvet, but I also have an entire skein of fuzz that I don't know what to do with. Future Sarah problems. So I scratched that. I pop by Tolt, like I said. I get Farmer's Daughter in the Mighty Mo. This is her mohair base, not her Suri. This is her mohair base, which is a lace weight. Suri is a fingering. And I paired it with this. And as you can see, this is the result that I got. Now, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this because I am kind of far away from the camera, but I will do my level best. If you look at, let me see, my motifs, you will see that the pink is very dominant, and in the center of each of these little pink things is supposed to be a row of purple stitches. Now, I had a lot of trouble with that because my purple stitches right here in the middle, they get lost. And so I switched about halfway down, and you can see right here in this little V section that my purple stitches are a lot more predominant. And that's because I switched. I carry both colors in my left hand. I'm a continental knitter, so when I do color work, both of my yarns are here. I switched which one was on the top. For me, because of the way I tension my yarn, which is once over the top of my finger, I do it over the top of my finger, it comes through, and then I pinch here. I usually tension here more than anything else. Because of the way that I tension, I tend to be a little bit tighter with the top color, which in this case really worked out for me. So I ripped this off the needles and I started over. I'm gonna try to do a side-by-side. I had visions of a side-by-side for you to see it, but I don't know how well that's gonna go because, you know, there's only one of me. So this is my motif now, and it is a lot more consistent, and you can actually see the purple pieces in the middle of it, which is something that you, hold on, I can do it. Just give me a second. Really can't see here. And when I go to edit this and they look perfectly the same, I'm gonna be really mad because I spent a lot of time redoing this. So anyway, I didn't want to rip out the mohair. Mohair is a nightmare. And I'm holding it double to be able to equal a fingering weight. So I'm going to stick this in the freezer. Thank you, Kirsten. I'm going to stick this in the freezer and then I will frog it later. But I wanted to show you guys that if you're having trouble with your motifs and your consistency in your gauge and the evenness of your stitches and color work, even though the rule is to make your contrast color the bottom color, sometimes it depends on your motif. On my motif here, my main color is the pink. There's so much more pink than there is the purple in the motif area, so I had to swap which color was dominant, and for me that works out really well. And I actually tend to knit a little bit more evenly when I do it that way. So I bought this at Tolt. But it wasn't the only thing that I bought. I finally, actually, I'm sure my friends are all super, super sick of listening to me because I feel like every day I have a thing that I text them about. And I'm like, oh, guess what I can do now, you know? So for instance, like I've been really jealous of everybody with their daffodils that are blooming. And I finally kind of had an epiphany of like, oh yeah, I live here now. And so I popped into Fred Meyer, which is Kroger. I popped into Kroger and I bought myself some daffodils, and they're blooming on the counter and they're absolutely freaking gorgeous. And of course, they're daffodils, so they're a bulb flower, which means that they are meant to be planted in the fall. And I obviously didn't do that. So they will be pot flowers for this year. But next year I will have two-tone, white and yellow, absolutely adorable, cute little happy daffodils in like February. And I'm so excited because none of these flowers grow in Texas. Where I'm from, it's too hot. It's just too hot. Everything dies. Not everything, obviously. We have a lot of greenery in Houston especially, but like the flowers, the delicate flowers, anything really petally, that's not going to live where I'm from. So it's really, really super cool to be able to live in areas that I can do some of these things that are interest to me, like wearing wool sweaters and actually being comfortable in them. So to celebrate that, I bought a sweaters quantity. And this is from Tolt. You can tell because it's their sheets. I have one of their, I was there Saturday and they've changed their mug design. I'm sure they did this ages ago. Okay, don't judge me. All right, but I have one of their old school mugs that has this sheep on it, and that's all it is. It doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a company, it doesn't nothing. It just has the sheep. And it's like one of the old diner ones, so like the lip of it is really fat and rounded. I love it. It's great. It's one of my favorite mugs. Anyway, but that thing's probably, we got married in 2015. It was probably 8 years old now. I think I probably bought it right before we got married when we moved it to Boise. So it would have been it probably would have been 2014. Easily I bought that mug in 2014. I still use it. It's still my favorite. Anyway, back to my sweater. So I bought a sweaters quantity of Bichebouche. This is the Le Petit Lens wool. It is the medium gray beige. So yeah, it is 50 grams, 270 yards per 50 grams. For me, on a fingering weight, which if this had been 100 yards, if it had been 100 gram skein, it would have been 540 yards. So it's a light fingering, almost a lace. For me, on a fingering weight sweater, it takes me 3 skeins, roughly. Less. It takes me less than 3 skeins. So I figured that either I would knit a light fingering weight sweater. Maybe I'll love the mohair and end up using mohair, but I highly, highly doubt it. I will either knit a fingering sweater at a loose gauge or I will hold it double. And yeah, they had a couple more up there, so if I need an extra one, then I will give them a shout. But I don't think I will. I think I'll hold it double, and that will be 1 skein, 2 skeins, and a half. And that will be enough for me for a fingering weight sweater, as long as I don't do anything crazy. And I'm super, super excited about being able to use it. It's not merino soft, but it's not crunchy either. It's just got a little bit of a toothsome feel to it, and I'm really, really excited. So yeah, before leaving, before leaving, my son came running up to me. Okay, so here's the story, all right? We're on our way to Tolt, and we're going to Tolt, and there's a reservoir, like there's a trail along the wetlands and like the reservoir, and my husband's eyeballing it. We got the bike on the rack. I was like, hey. He's like, what? I was like, we're, I don't know, 2 miles from the shop. Do you want to ride your bike? And he was like, well, no, I'm going to take you to the shop. I was like, yeah. I was like, but I mean, like, you know, they close at 5 and it's like 4:20 and I can just drop you off and then I can go and I'll come back and pick you up and you can ride your bike. He's like, no, I'll take you to the shop. It's okay. So I just kind of sat there and just stared at him really awkwardly. And he finally was like, okay, fine. And so he pulled over at the reservoir and I was like, you know the address to the shop, either ride to the shop if the trail allows it, or stop when the trail ends and I'll come pick you up. Like, I'll be back in 30 minutes, you know, or I'll be done in 30, by the time we did this, it was like, I'll be done in 30 minutes. Like, either meet me there or call me. And so me and Hector went to the shop and my husband got to ride his new bike and he's super excited about it because it's pretty fancy and I kind of want one now, which is not great because it's also not the cheapest thing we've ever purchased. Side note. Anyway, mountain biking is an expensive hobby. Consider that whenever you're a yarnie, because now you have to pick between expensive hobbies. It's a thing. Hector came running up to me with this and mommy, mommy, mommy. And he actually picked out a different base. So this is Kelborn Woolens. This one is Germantown. I can't remember the name of the base he picked, but it had alpaca in it and it was a fingering weight. And the gal at the shop, I'll put her name here because I cannot think of it. I follow her on Instagram and she's amazing. She's very, very sweet. The gal at the shop told me that they actually recommend it for socks. And I was like, well, you know, it was a $27 skein of alpaca fingering weight yarn that we have carpet. I wear holes through my socks so fast. My boys don't. The guys don't. It's just me. And I'm going to say this because I wear mine more than they do. Okay, it might not be. It might be, it might not be. But I have a tub of nomadic yarns. Self-striping socks, you guys know how I do. Like, I have an entire freaking tub of them, and they all have these giant holes in the bottom of the foot, and it's absolutely infuriating. And I have a little loom thing, and I just need to sit down and dedicate, like, a day. But it makes me so mad that I just don't want to. Because they're really big. They're really big holes. Like, honestly, I should probably just cut the foot off and just re-knit back down. But I'm out of most of those colors. I buy 50-gram skeins, and I don't have a lot of leftovers. And the leftovers I do have to put in my blankets. All of that side note that you don't care about. This is the one with the tangents, you guys. Anyway, Hector brought me a ball of their Germantown Worsted. It is in this obnoxious bright yellow color and he loves it. He thinks this is amazing. It's 100% North American wool, 100 grams, 220. It's a 220 worsted. And he with socks, and and then I was like, you know what, I will knit you some house socks out of this. And I don't know what else. Maybe a really annoying hat so I can never lose him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to do with this. But he loves it, and that's amazing. So I'm super excited for him, and I'll get those going. All right. And then as I was walking out, as you do, a lady that had been there when I walked in, I think she had left and she had purchased a couple of things, but she was like, no, I don't know what I want. I'm going to go ask or whatever. I'll come back tomorrow or on Monday or whatever, when next day they were open. I'll see you guys later. And she came rushing back in 5 minutes before they closed, which is when I was leaving. And she was like, okay, I figured it out. And she rushes over to this cabinet that I kind of passed when I walked in because I was looking for the farmer's daughter in particular, and I kind of passed it, and she rushes over there and she comes back with this armful of Spincycle yarns. And I was like, I thought it was so hilarious. She was so joyful about what she was getting, and they were talking about it. And I really like Spincycle. I am not a fangirl by any stretch of the imagination. Like I told you, I have met Kate and Rachel. Actually, I've met Kate and Rachel more than once. But never like, hi, my name is. And then this last time at the pizza place, I just didn't recognize them because yarn people don't exist in real life, right? So I really like Spincycle. I just don't ever buy it because I have a hard time with color. I don't really enjoy color. And so for me, it's really hard to use it or to know what I want to do with it. And Spincycle is one of those things. It's dyed in the wool. So the fluff is dyed. It is spun into singles, and then it is plied together with various colors to create the shifting that you see in Spincycle. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that every skein is different, and you pick up at different points of the shift, I guess. So you never really know. You're going to get two skeins, and like this one has quite a bit of brown in it. You can see it right there. And this one doesn't. It has hardly any brown. It's got a little more pink in it maybe. And I've had a couple projects where I've been like, this is going to be great. And I start it and I'm like, I do not like this color. And either you can cut it out and manage it, or you can just go for the ride. And I'm really trying to get better about just letting it be what it is, because it's woman owned. It's in Bellingham. It's like an hour north of Seattle. So it's like 3 hours north of me, 4 maybe. And it's made in the USA, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Everything that you want in a yarn. And so I got these two skeins. This is Spincycle Dream State. It is a worsted. It is in the color Shades of Earth. I have a bunch of Fibre Company Cumbria, which is Massam, Merino, no, not Merino, Massam, Mohair, maybe Merino, maybe BFL, Massam and Mohair. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the screen for you. I also have another skein of this in a contrast color, which is extremely similar to the teal in this. So I thought, I've always wanted to do like a Jennifer Steingast pattern, like a knit love wool pattern. She's got the arboreal, and she's got the storyteller and the golden feather and all these different ones that I've always wanted to make one, and I've just never gotten around to it. And part of that is because a lot of the ones that I really like are worsted weight, and I can't wear worsted weight in Houston. It doesn't get cold enough. But I do have an Aran weight of hers called the Tresta, and it's in Let Lopi, and I wore it to Colorado a couple of years ago, and it was snowy and in the mountains, and I had to like take off layers. That thing was so warm. So I'm really excited about having another sweater. I bought these two to go through the yoke, and then I'm going to pair it with this, I think, because I already have this on hand. I'm trying to use up stash. That's my goal. I want to be able to make sweaters with my stash. I have a lot of yarn because I sample knit. Some of my samples that I knit, I get yarn in trade, and some of them I do get paid cash, but that's kind of a yarn budget for me, and I usually just put it right back into yarn. So I have plans for sweaters, but because I sampled and I don't always have time. I do have a new sample. I don't have all the yarn yet, and I don't have the pattern released because it's still at the tech editor. So once I do get that done, and it's downstairs and I can't be bothered. So once I get all of that together, I will show it to you, and you guys can join along with me. And it will be a lot of fun. It's going to be really pretty, so keep an eye out for that. My last work in progress, because I don't have anything finished, guys. Surprise, surprise. My last work in progress is my Auster. I am finishing up this repeat. I have 3 or 4. I have 4 rows left, I think, of this repeat. And then I will be done with the body. So here's my Auster. You saw it last time. It is just slightly longer than it was when you saw it. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do is I will separate for the front and the back. Sleeves are knit from the bottom up, and then there is a saddle shoulder shaping right here, and then you set your sleeves in. So they're seaming for the sleeves, which is fine. I've done it before, and it turns out really pretty, and I'm really excited about the sweater. I'm loving every minute of it. It's going really well. I just, color work is one of those things that's really meditative for me, and I tend to get kind of excited about the rhythm, and then the next thing I know, like, the row's over, and well, I want to do it again, which is also why I like cables. I like the repetition in a row. So I have 2 really awesome projects going on the needles right now. So I just wanted to share that with you and our adventures, our first real adventure up here in the Pacific Northwest, and being able to go to Seattle. We went to Seattle on Saturday, and on Sunday we found a bike-friendly trail around Henry Hagg Lake, which is about 35 minutes from us. And it is very mountain bike friendly. It is not very Houston mountain biker friendly. There's a lot of up and down. The elevation climbs aren't very high, but they are really quick. They're very punchy. So you come down and you gotta go right back up again, we're not the best on hills. We've been on bikes for a while. You know, we don't have all of that where we're from. And it was a little bit slick and muddy. And you are on the edge of the mountain. And, you know, so there's like a ravine, and it's not a big deal. None of it was super dangerous. It was all fine. It's just stuff that we physically haven't done for a while and we weren't really ready for. So it was a little harder than it needed to be, I think. But it cost us $5 to go out to the lake for the day. And it was great. And it has everything from camping to fishing to boating to kayaking it has everything. So it was really, really nice to find something that close to us. And we came home, we put the bikes away. We had a late lunch. And we were kind of like, I could go again. So 5 minutes from us is a place called Cooper Mountain, and they have a nature preserve that has 5 miles worth of hiking or something. It is a paved and or gravel trail, and the entire point of it is that you can't take your pet, you can't take your bike, and all you can do is walk, and it's to encourage wildlife to come into the area. So there are plenty of places for you to sit and have an overlook or sit on a bench, and you can see the town underneath you. When we were walking, there were 3 or 4 deer, and they are fearless, absolutely fearless. So, you know, it was really cool. We got to be super close, like I would say probably 15 feet from these animals. And, you know, so it's really neat to be able to see them at that range and to take in the details of, you know, how fluffy their ears are or how much fur they have had come in because of the cold, and or to watch them blow their coats and to see like little tufts just like falling off. A couple of these poor animals looked a little scraggly. It was very cute though. But they have a playground up at the top at the nature center or whatever, so Hector got to play with a couple of kids. And it's just been a really nice move for us. It's been a really great place for us to be able to explore and be part of, you know. So the pace of life here is a lot slower, and we're really enjoying that right now. Although I will say that we both went to Seattle and we both looked at each other, and my husband said, I'm really glad that I took the job in Portland and we didn't come up here while we were house hunting. I was like, yeah, me too, because we would have absolutely turned down the job and moved to Seattle. We love Seattle, and it's one of those cities that I love. Portland. This is a beautiful area, and it's a wonderful city to live in. I think the max population in Portland is like 675,000 or something like that. And for us, coming from a city where my county had 4.3 million, you know, that's a really small town. It's not. Obviously, it's not a small town, but it is not as large as we are used to, which is not a negative quality. But when we go to Seattle, Seattle is very much a lot smaller than where we're from. I would say that there might be 2 million people in Seattle, the whole concept, maybe, like the burbs and everything. I think there might be 2. But the way that they build, the way their highway system works, the way that their infrastructure is set up is a little bit more close to home. It's a little bit more something that feels... My turtle's trying to get into his pool. I'm sorry. He's not a water turtle, but he likes to soak. Don't we all? So anyway, just the way that the city runs is a little bit more... I don't know, what's that word? I don't want to say familiar, because that's not it. It's not like, oh, I know how this works. Yeah, I've been in all those cities where I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, New York City is one of those cities. I get it. It feels very comfortable. It feels very familiar, but it doesn't feel like home. And it doesn't feel like a place that I want to be in or would gladly spend or be so excited to spend all of his time in. But Seattle feels that way for us. You know, we go to Seattle and it's like, all right, yeah, okay, I'm good. Like, this is where I want to be. And Portland is growing on us quite quickly. But you never really know. Although, if I continue to make friends here, we're going to be screwed and we're going to have to stay. Yeah. So it's been really great to have several Instagram friends from the PDX Portland area, and to have a couple of them reach out. So I have a coffee and yarn date and maybe a lunch date with my friend Stephanie on Saturday, and I'm super excited about that. And so hi, if Stephanie, if you watch this, hi. And yeah, that's awkward because I'm going to talk to you later. Anyway, so I guess that's really all I've got. Yeah, I've got a couple things I got to get done this afternoon, so I thought that I would just pop in and say hi and see how everybody was doing and catch you up with my adventures. I'm sorry that it was prattly, but that's how life is right now. It's just prattly. So yeah, I will talk to all of you later. I hope that you have a really, really wonderful week. And I would love to know what you've been doing on the weekends and how you're getting by and what are you working on. And people talk to me because I'm like up here in the corner. One downside to living in Portland, the biggest downside I have so far. I'm getting up at 6 in the morning because my body still thinks we live in Texas, and so that's like 8 a.m. wake up for me. So I'm getting like all this extra time in my day, which is totally great. Downside to that is that nobody on my end is awake because it's like 6 o'clock, but I'm already late to everybody else. So Onestimo leaves the house at 6:30, and I'm already like texting people on the East Coast, because it's almost mid-morning. By the time that I pick up my phone, it's 8 probably. And then by then, it's like 11. It's almost lunchtime for people on the East Coast. And I have I have a couple of friends on the East Coast that I keep up with on a regular basis. And so when I'm trying to close things down in Texas, they're 2 hours ahead of us. So if I don't do it before lunch, I'm probably not going to get a hold of anybody. They've probably left for the day. The one downside is having to wake up and actually like do things as opposed to just having that slow morning thing that I really like. But can't have everything. Something's got to get somewhere, right? And if that's all it is, then I will count myself lucky. So yeah, that's all I've got. Like I said, I hope you have a great weekend and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, hit me up, keep me posted. Let me know what's going on. I will talk to you soon. Bye.